Nerd Soul.
Oh, ho, ho, ho. Late ill kid at OneYoungsta holding it down, bringing that street geek and nerd. So, what is up, my people, today? Oh, yeah. Another wonderful episode, man. We up in here doing some on screen talking about that live action, that TV, that movies, whatever you got. And today, we're talking about the Continental. Now, I want to give a big shout out to John Wick. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, my brother. You lived a good life. You know what I'm saying? You did what you had to do. People try to disrespect you. You had to, you had to do what you had to do to protect your honor and the memory of your wife. But we gonna go into the Continental. This show has been announced for shoot. They announced this show after the second movie, I think. Y'all let me know in the comments. I think they basically, you know, announced this in the middle of either after the second movie or just before the third movie, something like that. But anyway, I was like, oh snap, a show about the Continentals would be interesting, getting to the intricacies of what goes on at the hotel, maybe the high table stuff, some more, I don't know, some more assassin stuff, some of the reasons of the rules and things of that nature, right? And I I was worried because it had been a while since we heard anything about it. And then when we did again, it was going to be on Peacock. Now, here's the deal. Peacock, I'm going to be real with y'all. All right? I'm going to be real with y'all. All right? That twisted metal. Oh, no, 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 no. All right? I didn't like the trailer. I didn't like none of the behind the scenes looks. I ain't like none of the clips. I was worried. Now, y'all did have Bel Air. All right? But then y'all also had Twisted Metal, man. Now, Twisted Metal, it didn't look cool. All right, it had to ding you. It looked like the do of do. All right, but the Continental, y'all dropped it, and y'all dropped a whole. It's like basically like a little movie. It's an hour and a half, and I'm like, oh snap! So this, and I mean, I tried to stay away from this one because I was like, you know what? I don't want to know nothing. I want to go in knowing that it's just about sort of like the world that John Wick lives in, right? So I come in and I was like, oh snap, this is a period piece. It's basically back in the 70s. And it opens up in 55 and we find out, oh, Frankie and Winston. So, oh, okay, Winston got a brother or had a brother, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, so, oh, this is going to be about kind of like Winston's rise to power or whatever, or rise to fame or whatever you want to call it. And I will not lie to you. I enjoy this from a set perspective. I This looks great. It looks real. Them girls that was dancing in the club at the beginning of the show, them girls ain't got no rhythm. Y'all got it. Come on now. Come on. This supposed to be the 70s. You got the most disco funky music, and y'all doing horribly, man. There was some girls behind Mel Gibson and them people. They ain't have no rhythm, man. It was all off. They just look stanky too, you know. Anyway, but the point is, it looks extremely like well put together from a set perspective, from a design standpoint, from an art direction. This show just looks awesome. And to add to that, it looks it as far as the city looks extremely lived in. Like if anyone knows like the history about old New York, see the New York y'all know now. And New York was gritty, all right? New York, like up to like 90s New York, even 90s New York was kind of rough, but like you're talking about 60, 70 New York that, it was tough out there. And they even mentioned the garbage strike that's going on. So it's a trip because they ain't doing New York no favors in this show, bruh. Like this, whoo, Lord, New York look rough. And I mean, if you go and look up, I mean, I'm sure there's pictures. If you go and look up the pictures of New York during this time, I mean, this is the New York that hip hop was birthed out of. Like it was New York was rough. Like this glitz and glammy kind of, you know, Friends New York that y'all be like Sex in the City New York. Nah. This ain't the New York. This a whole different New York, y'all. So I appreciate how just rugged and rough and dusty everything looked, and how like lived in everything looked. It was just from a artistic standpoint, this is crazy good. And from someone who loves all the John Wick movies, I truly do. I love the John Wick films. They do get crazy, but I enjoy this movie. I mean, this show, the premiere of this show, I will admit, called Brothers in Arms, it got me. This thing really got me. I am hooked. If the rest of this show is as good as this episode, then I'm in. I'm all in. The brother Frankie really sucks you in as a character, and not only Frankie. I will give it to you. I will give it to them. The actors in here they all come through. Like none of them, you never really see anyone kind of sleepwalking through the role. You don't have a situation like Jennifer Lawrence in the X-Men. You know what I'm saying? You really have people coming in, just embodying the world that they're in, embodying the role that they're in, and really selling it. So I dig that. Now, for those people, just so you know, Mel Gibson is in this joint. You know what I'm saying? Just so you know, yeah, Mel Gibson, the one that hates me and hates a whole bunch of people that they say are running Hollywood. He's in this joint, so just letting y'all know he in there. You know what I'm saying? I'm just letting you know for you because I didn't see him on no promotional material, so I was surprised when I saw him. I was like, oh snap, he in this joint, but. The idea is that in this, he's playing a character, I believe his name is Cormac. The idea is he's probably going to take a L because it seems like the high table is not happy after this job that gets pulled where they steal the coin press, bruh. Like, this is a huge deal. Like, the coin press being stolen from a Continental that's something that, yeah, you should probably die over. I ain't going front. Whether you can get that coin press back or not, the fact that it was able to be stolen, you should probably get killed for that. But that'll remain to be seen. But the way Frankie pulls off this job, the way the consequences of the gunfight and the club, they really sell this. And Peacock ain't pulling no punches. I was thinking, I don't want this to be on Peacock because Peacock is NBC, and it's gonna be some like PG mess, and they're not gonna go. No, they show body parts, all right, and they show love. In this, it's a family show, but this is not a family TV show. So I'm trying to, they show bodies and they show love and bodies. And then, of course, since this is John Wick, they show a whole bunch of dead bodies too, boy. Because, look, they ain't sparing no bullets and they ain't sparing no blood in this joint. In a good way. Like, there's gunfights with Frankie. There's gunfights with another kind of street gang crew that we get to know. There's gunfights with Winston and his crew. There's fights galore. And when you kind of like match that with these stakes that they're rising of Frankie coming home from the war and I guess sort of getting, I don't know if you should say, I guess the word would be like immersed in this world of, like the Continental, the high table. You definitely see this guy who's seen war, seen some stuff, is freaked out because he's like, this is another level. He even tells his brother, like, you don't understand. Like, this is not like the mafia. This is not like the Yakuza or the mob or anything. No, this ain't even like dealing with cops. This is these people run the world kind of thing. But seeing the set pieces of these fight scenes, whether it's in like, stairwells or hallways, man, look, they do not spare the blood in a very good way. As far as an action fan is concerned, this thing rocks. And man, wow. I did not expect it to be this good, yo. I didn't. I when I saw it was going to be on Peacock, I didn't have no faith, man. I'm gonna be honest. And you know what, Peacock, I shouldn't have did that to y'all. I shouldn't have did that to y'all. I should have been like, you know what, Peacock, y'all got Bel Air, Twisted Metal. It was a little whack. Well, no, it looked like it was a lot whack, but you know what I'm saying. We here now. You know what I'm saying. We here now with a good show, and to get brought in with all these pieces that they bring in with this kind of like basically movie. We get Frankie and his brother Winston. We find out that Winston had a brother. We find out that Winston came up on the streets. We see that Mel Gibson gets first billing in the show. We see that there's a cop that's kind of getting into or pulling the threads that will lead her to the high table. There is a lot going on here that is, it's reminiscent of how deep the movies were with all of these moving parts. And then when you take it to the street gangs, where there's this brother and sister that we meet, and they are, I guess, basically running guns. The brother has been in the service, and we understand already that it's a tough time and a tough go for all of these men that have come back from the war. You know what I'm saying? We see that, they couldn't just come back and get a job at Target. You know what I'm saying? They came back, there weren't no jobs for them, and they had to kind of get it where they live. They had to get it how they get it. And in this case, you got the brother running guns. The sister, of course, is trying to hold up the legacy of their father, and you have a lot of people trying to figure their way in this crazy New York that they're in. And I'm impressed with not only how well this episode, or kind of like short film episode, movie, whatever you want to call it, how it juggles the kind of like different points that all coincide to the Continental, or these different points that all coincide to Winston and Frankie. Whether it's Winston being snatched up in London and being brought back to New York to kind of find his brother, or whether it's the old contacts selling him out, or is the new detective kind of following the money and leading her to the Continental, and then seeing the inside of the Continental and how they move. It's just crazy in such a good way, and well thought out and well played. Like, for instance, we have the young lady. She's a detective. She goes straight into the Continental, and when she goes in, she gets a drink and she pays with money. And immediately when she pays with money, the bartender looks at this guy that's sitting over in the corner, and I'm assuming he's like a security guy or something like that. And the guy like nods to him like, let it ride, because I'm assuming, this is the high table. These are people that are in this world, and I'm sure they know that this chick is a cop. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, look, be cool. We, what I'm saying, even though we are we have the backing of the high table and all that stuff, we don't need dead cops on us. You know what I'm saying? Because, I'm sure that they're probably either paying off cops or something like that. You don't need the price to go up. So, but you definitely see how they all look at her, and they all start to operate differently around her. And then you can see that she notices, hey, everyone here is packing heat, and just her response to it. And even when she goes to go into the Continental for the first time, you have this sort of serious look of consequences when her fellow officers or whatever come up snatching like, no, you don't go in there. You know what I'm saying? You don't go in there. You don't mess with that place. You don't deal with it. Nothing goes on. And what is it? I think the officer's name is Mayhew. And he's like, yo, I don't know what you think you're doing, but you don't go in that room. You know what I'm saying? You don't go in that hotel. And it starts to build this whole mystique around whatever goes on in here, you don't mess with it. You don't go in there, you don't touch it, you don't think about it, you don't move it, you don't nothing. And I love that. I love how we're already building this mystique of, cops who think like, hey, I'm just following, I'm trying to find a supplier. I've been taking pictures of this guy, pictures of that guy, I've been following the money, and it leads to this place. And when you have your superiors come in and be like, you can't go in there, that definitely, it leads to this idea of what the world have I stepped into, and what in the world is going on in there that I, as a cop, can't even walk in the door. You know what I'm saying? And you add that with, the brother and sister that are friends with Frankie, or maybe old friends with Frankie, that are back from the service. You got Frankie, you got Winston coming back. This show has laid a lot of the groundwork that makes this world of John Wick very interesting. Because it's not just bullets and blood. I mean, even though we get the bullets and blood, and I like that, but we have this new mystery and new, I guess, adventure of Winston and how he ends up as, the manager of the Continental, at least in New York. Because by the end of the episode, we're left with Frankie's girlfriend, Yin, Winston. We're left with the street crew that used to deal with Frankie back in the day, that works at, they run this place called Burton Karate, which is like the father, their dad used to run it before he passed away. You got Carmack, and then you have this lady that is part of the high table that is definitely not too keen on Carmack, and the way he's probably running the Continental, especially since he lost the press. And when we find out what happens to the press at the end, we find out he still doesn't have the coin press. So you have that. You have these weird Swedish twins or whatever that are, assassins that definitely will prove to be a very unique foil, I guess, for Winston and Yin. I'm definitely down with this show, man. Guys, holla at me. I'ma holla at you down in them comments. Let's talk the Continental. I'm kind of hype on this. I like what we got. I think this show definitely has a lot to stand on. And I like the fact that they didn't follow after kind of John Wick in the, I guess you could say, current time. They jumped back to Winston's life, and we're going to see what goes on with him. Hopefully they won't drag this out and it gets crazy like Gotham did, because I didn't like that at all. But this, I think, has a lot to not only live up to, but it has a lot going for it right now with, I guess, the actors, and the situations that they're in, and what they've kind of built up in this first movie / episode already. I'm digging it. So I'm definitely here. So, of course, until next time that a person steals your coin press, until the next time that you have to have a gunfight in a stairwell, until the next time that you meet Don Breezy in a karate dojo, this is from me to you saying, peace.